I had known him for years, but it wasn't until I was 28 that I realized I had been in love with him all along. It wasn't the kind of love that hit you like a lightning bolt, the kind that swept you off your feet. It wasn't even the kind of love you see in movies, where everything is clear and perfect. It was messy, slow, and complicated. But the truth, once I finally admitted it to myself, was simple. I had always loved him. I had just never seen it. His name was Jack. We met when I was 18, fresh out of high school, full of dreams and youthful optimism about life and the world. Jack was a friend of my older brother, someone who had been around since I could remember, but he was always just a bit older, just a bit out of reach. He was one of those people who had a magnetic presence, the kind of guy who could command attention without trying. Confident, sarcastic, with a smile that made your heart skip a beat. But to me, he was always just Jack, my brother's friend, a guy I saw at family gatherings and didn't think much about. But somewhere between late-night talks, casual laughs over beer, and stolen moments on the porch, I began to realize something. I didn't just like him. I had feelings for him, deep, unspoken feelings that I couldn't put into words. It wasn't until I was older, looking back at the years we'd spent together, that I could see it clearly. I had loved him all along. The quiet moments we shared, the way he'd look at me when he thought no one was paying attention, those were the moments I had cherished, even if I didn't fully understand their significance at the time. The problem was, Jack had always been just a little bit out of reach. He never treated me like I was special. Not in that way, at least. He was always kind, always there when I needed advice or someone to listen. But he never once gave me a hint that he saw me as anything more than just a little sister to him. I told myself it didn't matter. I buried those feelings deep down, wrapped them in the warmth of our friendship, convincing myself that I was just grateful for the bond we had. But every time he laughed or looked at me in that knowing way, I couldn't help but feel like I was falling deeper into a one-sided love that I couldn't escape. We went our separate ways after I graduated college. I moved to a new city, chasing my career, while Jack stayed behind, doing what he loved. We kept in touch, of course, but it wasn't the same. The bond we shared had been interrupted by time, distance, and the unspoken truth that I had carried with me all these years. Years passed, and I grew into a different version of myself. I had relationships, some serious, some not so much. I traveled, experienced life in ways I never thought possible, and learned to live without needing someone else to complete me. I had grown comfortable in my own skin. But through it all, there was always that piece of my heart that never quite healed, the part of me that was still holding on to the memory of Jack. Then, a couple of months ago, out of the blue, I got a call from him. "Hey, it's Jack." His voice came through the phone, warm and familiar. "I'm in town. Thought I'd swing by and catch up with you if you're free." The moment I heard his voice, my heart skipped a beat. It had been years since we'd seen each other face to face, but his voice brought back a flood of memories. I tried to act casual, but my heart was pounding. "Of course I'd love to see you," I said, probably a little too quickly. "When are you free?" We agreed to meet up at a small bar downtown, the same one we used to go to back in the day. It was a place that held so many memories for us. The spot where we had shared countless laughs, arguments, and life updates over cheap beers. I had no idea what to expect when I saw him again, but a part of me was excited, like a piece of me was coming home. The night of our meeting, I was a bundle of nerves. I didn't know why it mattered so much, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something important was about to happen. I arrived a little early, waiting at the bar, pretending to be calm, But I saw him walk through the door. Jack. Older, sure, but still the same. His smile was the same. Easy, confident, and as effortless as ever. He caught my eye immediately and made his way over to me. "Hey, stranger," he said, his voice soft but filled with warmth. "It's good to see you." I stood up to hug him, and for a brief moment it felt like time had rewound. I felt safe in his embrace, as if nothing had changed, as if I had never left. But the moment we pulled apart, the realization hit me again. I had loved him, and I was still in love with him. The feelings I had pushed away for so long rushed back, though overwhelming me in a way I wasn't ready for. We talked for hours like we always had, catching up on life, on where we were now. But this time, something was different. I could feel it. There was an unspoken tension between us, a shift in the way we interacted. It wasn't just the familiar camaraderie, it was more than that. His eyes lingered on me longer than they ever had before. His laugh was a little more subdued, his touch a little more deliberate. It wasn't until we were sitting on the same patio where we used to spend our late nights, watching the city lights flicker around us, that I finally allowed myself to say the words I had kept inside for so long. "Jack," I began, my voice shaky, "I need to be honest with you. I've never really told you this, but I've loved you for a long time. I've always loved you." His expression shifted, and for the first time that night he looked uncertain. I wasn't sure if I had made a mistake, if I had ruined everything by saying it out loud, but I couldn't hold it in anymore. I had to say it. I had to let him know. "I don't expect anything from you," I said quickly, my heart racing. "I just needed you to know that I've carried this with me for years, and I can't keep pretending that I don't feel it anymore." There was a long silence, and I felt my heart begin to sink. Maybe I had misread everything. Maybe he had never felt the same way. Maybe this was where our paths finally diverged, and I had to let go of the dream I had kept alive for so long. But then, Jack spoke. "I had no idea," he said, his voice soft but filled with the sincerity I had never heard before. "I've always cared about you, more than I ever let on, and I've thought about you all the time, even when we weren't in touch. But I never said anything. I didn't think you felt the same way." I looked at him in disbelief, unsure of whether to laugh or cry. "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked, my voice thick with emotion. "Why didn't we ever talk about this?" He shrugged, a sheepish smile on his face. "I think we were both scared. I was scared that I might lose you as a friend, and you were probably scared that I wouldn't feel the same way." I shook my head, a small laugh escaping me. I spent so many years trying to convince myself that I was fine, that it didn't matter. But it did. It always did. He reached across the table, taking my hand gently. "What do we do now?" he asked, his eyes full of questions and hope. I looked at him, realizing that for the first time in my life, I didn't need to have all the answers. "We figure it out," I said quietly. "Together." And with that, everything I had feared, all the years of holding back, seemed to fall away. What had been untold for so long was finally out in the open. And now we had the chance to start something new, something real, something built on honesty and the understanding that love doesn't always follow the path we expect. But it's worth taking the leap when you finally realize it's what you've been waiting for all along.